This is Fowl Players Radio, your podcast for arts, entertainment, and pop culture. Welcome. My name is Michael Spedden, your host. Every episode features fun, fascinating stories about people in the performing arts, actors, authors, dancers, writers, musicians, athletes, you name it. Folks who are center stage, backstage, on camera, or behind the scenes. Sit back and listen. Let's have some fun. Fowl Players Radio is a proud production of the Fowl Players Group and the official podcast of the Fowl Players of Perryville.
Hey, you guys, this is Gina Shock, drummer of the Go-Go's.
Snowman here.
Hey, Mary Jo Peel here.
Hi, this is Kathy Ladman.
Hi, this is Jay Nedry from the Road Ducks.
This is A.D. Adams, and you are tuned in to Fowl Players Radio with your host, Michael Spedden.
And folks, welcome back to another episode of Fowl Players Radio. My name is Michael Spedden, and tonight's guest is Tommy McLoughlin of the Sloths. This is Tommy's second appearance on Fowl Players Radio. The first time he came on and we discussed many of his film and television projects, and tonight we're going to discuss his band, the Sloths. The Sloths have a show on January 14th, 2024 at the Whiskey A Go-Go in L.A., we talked about that and so much more. You know, Tommy has accomplished so much in life and in his career. There is never a shortage of stories with him for sure. His website for the Sloths is thesloths.org. There's also a YouTube channel. If you look up on YouTube, the Sloths Band, you'll find the Sloths videos, and their music is available on just about any music platform that's out there, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. If you look around, you'll definitely find it there. If you're interested in professional comedic entertainment for your venue, fundraiser, or any other event, please consider a murder mystery from the Fowl Players of Perryville. For bookings and other information, please call us at 443-600-0446 or email foulplayersperryville@yahoo.com. Our website is foulplayersofperryville.com. And don't miss the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. We feature songs you forgot you liked, current and classic local rock and hard rock and metal classics that never die, and up-and-coming bands. Tune in on every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Listen on your computer or download the app so you can listen everywhere you go. 97underground.com. We at Fowl Players Radio are proud to support artists, and we encourage you to consider shopping small and supporting them as well. Listen to their books, their albums, tickets to their show, and all other items can be found in the show notes of every episode. We thank you for tuning in and listening and watching. And remember, you can help us greatly by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons and giving us a fair review. Our main website is foulplayersradio.com, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@foulplayersradio. Dear listeners, during the recording of this episode, we had some technical difficulties with, we had connectivity issues. We did the best we can to repair the file. You may find some flaws in it, everything, but when Tommy's telling stories, the episode's never going to be bad. So we do apologize for any flaws or any skips or anything like that you may see in the video or audio, but it's still going to be a great episode. So we'll be right back with Tommy McLoughlin right after these words.
Hi, this is Bud Becker.
Hi, everybody. Dwight Williams from Gaz the Fun Band.
Hi, folks. This is Jay David.
Hey, this is Brian Damage from Kicks and Rhino Bucket.
Hi, this is Kim of Kim's Crypt.
Hello, my name is Gunhild Carling.
Hi, this is Paul Castiglia, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio, the one-stop shop for all your pop culture needs.
And welcome back to another episode of Fowl Players Radio. I'm Michael Spedden, and returning to Fowl Players Radio to come back and pay us a visit and give us a little bit of an update, Tommy McLoughlin. We had Tommy on a couple of years ago to talk about all kinds of things, his movies, working on the Spielberg Amazing Stories, the Friday the 13th, the Dick Van Dyke Company or Van Dyke Company, and a lot of those things. And today we're here to talk about the Sloths. The Sloths have a show coming up next month. Yeah. And I've been getting positive feedback by introducing people to the Sloths on my 97 Underground show. So naturally, I figured I'd give Tom a call, and lo and behold, what's happening in January? a sloth show at the whiskey. So, hey, the universe aligns itself. Welcome back, Tom. Good to have you.
Thank you, Michael. I always love talking with you. You got the greatest voice in show business. It's like every word is so clear and precise, where so many, I've done so many podcasts over the years. Well, you think I got to it? And yeah, I love that one too. I thought, "What?" It's like, geez, but it's like, because they're kids, that
Right.
they can do this. But when you got somebody who's a pro, it's like, okay, that's it. I'm listening now. I can hear, I can understand.
Well,
But yeah, it's been that, since we last talked, it's been a lot of, down, and then creatively trying to find something else, and then down again, obviously COVID and so many things have occurred. I've stopped teaching at Chapman University, where I was teaching film production. And that wasn't because I quit or wanted to quit. For one, not realizing that 10 years had passed. And for whatever God knows reason, every decade, it's like I change careers, like something flips. And I mean, for, like as a kid, I was a young filmmaker, jumping the fence at MGM Studios. And, that's what I wanted to be until the Beatles and the Stones hit, like 10 years in, and then all through the 60s, that was it. Then mime, another 10 years with the mime company and Dick Van Dyke and stuff. And then finally 1980 became, finally sold the script One Dark Night. And then that, kind of carried on, and I kind of evolved from writer to writer-director to writer-director producer. And so, the sad thing about the school is that was, again, a victim of COVID. They lost so much money, so many students bailed. Or weren't coming in, changed their minds, went someplace else. So they had to start making cuts. So all of us adjunct professors, the ones that were paid, less than the faculty, and came in once, maybe twice a week and taught classes. Yeah, we were the first to go. So
yep,
happens.
I understand. I was an adjunct instructor myself at a college. Had nothing to do with my showbiz career. What I was doing by teaching there was following probably the best showbiz advice I've ever got in my life, with my nearly 40 years of performing, and that's don't quit your day job. So that's what I was, teaching my day job, which is actually, I work with construction companies and manufacturing companies to keep them from ripping each other from limb and killing each other at work. And that's what I do for a living. And outside of entertaining my illustrious audience and keeping you all on the edges of your seat and smiling and laughing and cheering my name, that's what I do. And it's a rewarding thing to do, but it's a shame when it's over with, when you're not able to really do it anymore, because I'm sure with the successes that you've had, it's very gratifying to see somebody get it. When you're teaching them something, they grasp it, they're doing good things themselves, and they're advancing themselves in a career with this. I'm sure that had to be very gratifying for you.
Well, it was in the beginning, and I gotta say that the freaking C word, COVID, changed everything, including their enthusiasm, including the passion. I might have had, in the whole course of God knows how many students I had, when I was teaching 3 classes at once, and they were 20 to 30 kids each one. And, I never stopped my energy and enthusiasm and passion about this business, because I just think it's the greatest thing when you're working, and it's really hard when you're not working.
Oh, yeah.
If you come into a film school and you still don't know really what you want to do, but you sort of like that idea of directing or producing or writing, but if you do not have that passion that this is something that you want to do, I got a lot of oil paintings that I was staring at out there, and you go, to show them like something on, all the different things you can do with the camera in terms of lenses, movement, what a still composition looks like, color, okay, let's talk about this. Somebody, Bueller, somebody talk to me, and
right.
And it wasn't like they didn't have an opinion. They just didn't feel like sharing it, or they were feeling that it wasn't that smart of a thing. you know, and that was just really frustrating because there was just this sort of, you know, and I've talked to other people that say that a lot of it, you know, the young folks coming from, you know, high school into college or college into the workforce, you know, it's like, so fire me, I don't care, you know.
Yes, yes.
And I hate that. I hate
Mhm.
that because it's like
Right.
this stuff's only good if you can care about it, you know, in
Mhm.
some way. And I've always feel like, God, if I got a bad show, God, please don't let a bus kill me during this because I don't want to go out on something I really didn't want to do. So try to keep picking things that you feel you could have passion with.
Yeah, a good friend of mine teaches. He's actually a professor at a college and teaches recording and re- how to be a studio engineer. You know, recording, and he gets a lot of young people come in. They're all gung ho and everything, as they think they're just going to be hanging out in a recording studio all day. But when he starts actually wanting them to learn about pitch and sound waves and how sound works and how sound is recorded. And when you get really, technical and into theory and things like that, he says that, they start to drop like flies. They when they realize it's not just, hey, pie in the sky, I'm making movies, baby. Here we go. Or I guess cameras don't work like this anymore. But
I'm glad you're keeping that gesture alive, though, because
right,
that was the way. If you wanted to mime,
mime.
the
There we go.
cameraman, you do this. Now it's like, well, you could be this or this, but these things, I mean, these sons of bitches, I keep telling them, use this and make a film. Some kid shot a thing and it looked like a David Fincher film, just natural light, which is what they work towards. Let's just make this look believable and natural. And phones, you don't have to drag around a whole crew. Just get a decent microphone for that, because that's the thing that always is the toughest, getting good sound. But boy, these, the look is just incredible. You can do anything with it in post.
It really is. It really is. And it's amazing that all that fits in your pocket. It all fits in your pocket.
I still get into airplanes as many years as I've been flying around and go, oh, hello. Well,
hey,
always got to have the dog in the picture, a kid and a dog, then you're going to be okay in this business.
Yep.
Okay, come on, get down, Charlie. Oh, hey, good boy. Okay. The whole thing is, and I just lost my train of thought because of a dog coming into the picture. We were talking about pictures and movies. Holy geez. Well, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. But yeah, just the whole thing of I know what I was going to, of having an intention when you go into something. Don't just shoot it just and see what happens. Start with some sort of, what do you want this film to be about? Or, is there a theme or something in your life that you can use this kind of as a vehicle for? Goes right past. Then we have screenings, and all these other kids and teachers and stuff start to tear their movie apart, and say awful things. I'm the last person to say anything bad. The first thing I'll say, what was your intention? Did you want us to be confused? Did you want to leave us to, figure out what the ending was supposed to be? Did you want us to not like this character? I mean, if you intended it, brother, you succeeded. We hated that guy. We hated the ending because it just left us, with no idea. Well, I wanted to be kind of vague. And I go, well, you're risking, an audience disliking something, because it's like whether the movie's 2 minutes or, 3 hours. If you invested your time in any respect, you want somehow at the end to feel like this was worth my 3 minutes, or this was worth my 3 hours. It's a funny thing, but we structuring things so that they have a 3-act structure of some sort, beginning, middle, and end, setup, conflict, resolution. Sounds stupid, sounds easy, but that's their first rebellion. I don't want to do something that's like out of the book. I said, just learn it and then don't use it. Come up with your own thing, but at least learn the rules, because you're going to have times where scripts you get just aren't going to work at all. And then you're going to be in this situation. How do I save the movie? And part of it, really is kind of knowing what the audience wants to be feeling at this point. Do we know kind of what the main character wants? Do we see that they're having trouble getting it? Do they end up with something else that ends up being better? I mean, whatever that is, that gives a kind of a familiarity, and also there's a comfort kind of in that it doesn't have to be blatant how you pull it off. But that was very frustrating, because that, to me, that when you go see movies today, I don't care what it is, if it doesn't have that in it, you know, you're frustrated. You don't know why.
Right. I know exactly what you mean, because I see it a lot of times too. I really do. You know, it's I guess it really is a challenge, and especially a lot of, again, with younger people that just want to hit the ground running and everything, to get them to stop and just take the baby steps and learn the fundamentals step by step, and then you're ready to move on to it. And I found that a lot of times too in the things that I would teach too, you know, in different ways. So definitely a challenge there. So
yeah, you got to go by your gut for sure as an artist, and your instincts of what it is you want to do. But again, if you start building the house, starting with the roof, or you're hanging the drapes, and you have nothing structured, you were in construction, you know. I mean, you got to build that thing solid, so that then you can do whatever you want around it. But at least you know it's going to hold water. There's times where if you can go against that and break a rule, great, because a lot of times people go, "That's great, it wasn't typical," you know. But that's very difficult to do.
No, it is. It is. And with everything, and with everything that you do, I mean, again, the solid foundation has always got to be step one. You know, I absolutely agree. So Tommy, I am excited because, you know, like I had mentioned that I've been playing the Sloths on 97 Underground. I got a bunch of emails saying, I like these guys. Who are they? You know, so I, email back a little bit about you and everything. And I did talk about, especially in my Halloween special, the fact that, what I did on my Halloween special was like all the songs had to have some kind of connection to Halloween. So I played Edgar Winter's Frankenstein, of course, because of Frankenstein. I played After You, I started with the Sloths. I played Haunted. That's kind of an ominous sounding song. I love that 60s. It sounded like they picked surf guitar in it, but it was a little more darker and ominous, a little more maybe Animals-ish, maybe. And had that. And then I talked about, well, who are these guys? Well, I'll tell you, probably the most interesting man. He could be on the beer commercials, and I told him about, in my commentary about the song, about, the mime training, the TV work, the movies, and that you were the director of Friday the 13th Part 6, the Stephen King movies and the amazing stories, kind of Twilight Zone-y, kind of spooky in a way too. So you had connections with the horror world. And but people, I've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, the Sloths, who knew? They're great. I love them. Where can I find them? And I'm like, iTunes, go, and so tell us this. You've got some good news. You've got some for the Sloths at the whiskey. So I won't divulge anymore. Tell us what's going on.
Yes, after 3-year, maybe almost 4-year hiatus, mainly caused by COVID, and that stopped us in the middle of a tour, stopped us halfway through recording our second album. As far as we were concerned, that we had gone back to the grave. And so it was like very uncertain what we were going to do next. And then I got a call from the whiskey, and they were doing their 60th anniversary, and they're representing all the decades with bands that had played there, that were part of that decade. And so they asked us to open for the group Love. And, there's not too many of them around anymore. And when I was making TV movies, one of their, I guess it was the bass player, was from Love. So we had a lot to talk about on the set. But anyway, they said, we would love to have the Sloths play. And I didn't have the heart to say, well, I don't know if we're still together or not. I think so. All right. And he goes, well, if there's a problem, tell me now. I go, no, there's no problem. So I called up everybody, and yeah, we got a guy coming in from Philadelphia where he's living now, and people that have been doing other things, kind of getting their chops back. So it's not that we're going to be playing our songs. We're going to be playing the songs we covered back in the day, back in the mid 60s. So it's going to be kind of vintage Stone songs, Yardbird songs, animal songs, not necessarily just the hits. A lot of it will be things that, were on an album that, if you were a real Stones fan, you knew that song, and people go crazy when you do that. And it's like, oh, and something you hadn't heard. And, it's going to be really, kind of that comeback moment, playing not only just the band back again after all these years, but that we're doing these songs that it's been 50 years, since we did them. So yeah, we're very excited about this one.
That's great. I had performed in a number of bands myself. I'm a musician in the 80s and early, to like mid 90s. And even part of the memory of that time with the bands I was in was not just playing the original material that we had, but also some of the covers that we had that we kind of tailored to make fit and we kind of evolved our own sound off of those, the people that kind of influenced us. And that's got to be that's got to be another fun thing. I think that you must really be looking forward to with that, going back to those songs too,
Yeah, well, because when we came back in 2011 and we were doing those sets, that was the songs we were doing then. And then there was some that we didn't do because we were trying to make way for original songs. But the sound of our original songs was very much what we had gotten from rhythm and blues, and obviously Stones, Yardbirds, Animals, and of course, and they got those from the masters in the South. Obviously Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, all those guys. We idolized as well. So our sound really, when you listen to it, has a lot of that feeling. Mike Cummins, who's writes the music, and and I do the lyrics and melodies. There's a lot of that. Having like Keith Richards, a kind of a little pattern, that it's a riff of some sort, and then he'll kind of create off of that, and then I kind of come off what the vibe of that is, or occasionally he'll come up with the title, and I'll run with the title and see what happens. Haunted is the one thing that he actually had that was sitting there in his repertory of stuff, and brought that in. I thought, no, that's perfect for my vibe, because it's all about sort of the dark side that I still am fascinated with, and that song kind of really embodied that.
And the thing and I really enjoy listening to your album. I mean, from the time we met a number of years ago, I bought the album just to get acquainted with you and your work. So I'm not one of these host that likes to come in completely blind, like, so who are you? I like to know my guests and have good questions prepared. And listening to the Sloths album, Back from the Grave, it's like, it seems like every song, it seems like the album itself is almost like a tour through the 60s in a lot of ways, with a lot of the sounds that you have on it. You hear a little bit of that surf guitar, like I'd mentioned. You named Judy. I love that bluesy harmonica in there. I mean, that was well done. I love that.
No, thanks.
I really liked, Haunted has another, that, picked guitar. And then, One Way Out. That's another great sound of that one too. And that also has kind of that, dan, 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 ding, 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 ding. That's, I love that sound. And you guys really.
Yeah. The other thing too with One Way Out is each verse is a song, is a story about something.
Yes, it is.
And then it's a question of what one way out means in that particular story. Obviously, the soldier that shot, a kid or school by accident, ends up putting the gun in his mouth. That was considered his way. Somebody else, got out of religion. and ended up doing something else that was their way out. And like a married couple, we're getting a divorce, and we kind of spun it into, no, I don't want to do this. It doesn't have to be our one way out. So it was fun doing the kind of songs that told stories with each verse and then the chorus. And we're really big on that thing of like Queen has, and I just saw Kiss last week at the Hollywood Bowl, and boy, that was a mind blower. Those guys, jeez, nobody can compete with that show. I mean, you can argue about how great are the songs, but the songs that really work are the ones where the whole crowd is singing them. And that whole thing to me was always important, getting everybody into, one way out, or, lots of times for an encore, we do Gloria, and everybody knows Gloria.
Oh, sure.
And all together, and I'm out in the crowd with the microphone. It's just great, that unity that happens with those kinds of songs,
Yep. I know. I can remember years ago doing, Suffragette City's another one of those songs that gets the crowd riled up. And I can remember playing that, and half the other guys that were in bands that were playing that night would all just rush the stage, and we had all these crowds around the mic, everybody going, "Hey man, why don't you leave?" And that's it's always fun to have one of those songs that just rocks the crowd, gets everybody, up there with you. A lot of fun, really is a lot of fun. And
Satisfaction, Stone Satisfaction is again that kind of song too, that your Keith's first lick of that thing go, and people get excited, and then to be able to yell Satisfaction, it's a wonderful feeling, because it's like it's somebody else's material, obviously, but we share it, and that sharing is such a great part of rock and roll.
It is, and you can always put your own little spin on it and everything. But it is, it's theirs. But it's one of those things that it's because things are such so universally loved, and to pay a tribute to something like that, really a great thing, to help get the crowd together. It's just something that's shared, again, like you'd mentioned, between you and the crowd, and obviously an homage to the original person.
Yeah. And I'll do something like, We Got to Get Out of This Place, the Animals song, and, Little Girl, what is it? My little girl up the front, and everything I know is true. And every guy in this band is too old for you. And, making a joke about us, rather than just, your days are through, and, people love that too, to put something humorous in something.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, that's a lot of the fun, of playing music and everything. And again, it must be really exciting to, go back to the cover songs, pull the cover songs out of the, out of the back of the rack and do those for everybody. That's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful show. And when did you say that was going to be again?
January the 14th.
January the 14th.
Which I think is a Sunday night, I believe. Yeah. And I think we go on at, what did I hear, 9:45, and then Love is on, I think, like probably 10:45. I think it's usually like about a half hour in between.
Right.
Sell drinks.
It's great to see that the whiskey is still around too.
Oh yeah.
So many great rock clubs have just gone, down.
A few doors was a club called the Galaxy, and we played that all the time, and that was cleared out a long time ago. The Sea Witch, another one that I've got footage of the Doors in there, playing back in the day. The Trip, Pandora's Box, we were there like a week before the riots. And so, a lot of it was just these, history of things that happened. And of course, the Buffalo Springfield song, For What It's Worth, was about those riots. And it was a riot that was sort of silly, it was like a white kids riot, with the Valley dudes coming up, like the Socias. And then there was us sort of hippies, and the hippie thing hadn't really taken off yet, but we were rock and roll guys with the longer hair and stuff. And we were all rebelling the fact that, why can't we be out here after 10 o'clock? Well, it's the store owners just didn't like this riffraff, and we brought in way more cops than they needed. And of course, that set off the kids, and off we went with the Sunset Riots.
Yep. And you think, and I think back too of places where, CBGB's played there.
Yeah.
That's no longer. Hammerjacks has been gone for a long time. And these are some, more Baltimore clubs. The Network was a big one, the Sandbar, the Network. It's and you drive by these places, and when you're driving by and you look out the window and you see either the building's just not even there and it's gone, or it's now a CVS or a gas station, and you think of condos.
All I don't know how they think there's going to be that many people going to be in these really expensive condos, but I guess they believe in the American dream.
I know.
30. Yep,
I know. It's and condos, and that's a whole other topic of discussion there. But condos, I've heard some stories about those go up in buildings that are like maybe a third sold and the rest are vacant, and bad things happen, and oh boy, but hey, here's to the memories of playing, driving around, whether it's there or not. You always get that moment of looking out there and seeing the people in the line outside of there, and then it's back to being a gas station or whatever it is now, but it's it definitely, some fond memories. And I mean, part of the reason why I started this podcast, I kind of expanded out to interviewing like people in Hollywood, LA, like you. This was originally supposed to be local, and I was originally supposed to be going after Baltimore and DC bands. And I've gotten a lot of episodes with those. I've done over 300 episodes, and I've had a lot of the people from bands that, if you go outside of the Mid-Atlantic, and I'm talking, Maryland, Virginia, DC, Pennsylvania, New York, to an extent, New Jersey, Delaware. Within this region, there are a number of bands that you may not know in California or anywhere else, but here they were like our Rolling Stones, our Beatles, and so much history and so many stories and so many clubs. Baltimore and Washington, D.C. were two completely diverse music scenes that melted right in the middle.
Yeah.
So much history there. And I'm sure LA, I mean, so much lore there, so much history, so many stories. And I think these need to be preserved and told and kept, where people can hear them and know them, archived, somehow. And then not only in music, but in movies and television and comedy. I mean, just, so many stories to be told, and the thing is too, I'm 54, and I've had guys that I knew from playing, I'm at the age now where my friends are starting to drop dead, and guys that were part of this history are no longer here, and those stories can't be told, so that's why I'm trying to grab them. And I've been blessed to have a lot of cooperation with people in this area to do that, and people like yourself, who have accomplished a lot of things, done a lot of things, and are generous enough to spend their time with me, sharing it with my audience. So I do definitely thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I think it's our responsibility, if you're in a craft of some sort, to pass on what you've learned, whether the other person wants to listen to it or not. There's nothing you can do about that. But I remember following my heroes wherever they went, like Rod Serling. I had a 10-week course in writing with Rod Serling. You don't think I walked him to his car? Stallone came once and showed us this movie he did called Rocky. I just want to see what you guys think before we release it. So you get a chance, at least in those situations, to really be there when it's first happening. Scorsese brought Alice Doesn't Live Here, a 3-hour version, and said at the end of it, okay, what do you guys think? And we sat there like the oil painting. We were so overwhelmed, and it was like, what are we going to tell this man? You know, he had done Mean Streets, you know, which we all just adored and worshipped, and yet he really wanted our opinion, you know, because we were upcoming filmmakers. And as I said about teaching, you know, when you just don't know what to say, and it's not so much being overcome, it's like, I don't know that much to comment on it. But I feel like, you know, you go out and ask as many questions as you can, make notes, and retain that stuff, because I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've done 43 feature films. And so many times during those 43 feature films, I found out what I wanted to do isn't going to work, or the sun's going down, and the 5 shots that I wanted to do, I'm not going to be able to do. So I have to quickly have something back here that is like, okay, if we did this as a winner, I could do this, and they go to this actor. You know. But again, if you don't have that thing where you either saw it in another movie, or you tried it in film school, or you did it somehow, or heard somebody talk about that, then you have that to fall back on. But lots of times, if you're lucky enough and you make a music video, you know, for a group, and the group actually takes off or gets some notoriety, and it's like, who did your video? And you can, okay, I can be a filmmaker based on that. And some do. Some actually get, you know, deals, but they'll immediately put, you know, a seasoned DP and AD and producer and all this stuff around so that, you know, the thing doesn't fail. But after that is done, then what? You know, what do you want to do next? And hopefully, you know, they've got something, you know, that works. If they don't, that is it. You know, they got their shot, and that's the end of it. So it really helps to know as much as you can, because what I did in television, because I did not want to be a TV movie director by any means. But I kept genre jumping. I would do a Christmas movie, then I'd do a true crime movie, then do a, you know, hard dramatic movie, then do a teen movie. Then, you know, I did not want to fall into one box, and I wanted to learn every time I did one of those. Okay, what am I going to get out of this? You know, with the research and things. And, you know, it's hard for filmmakers to be able to have that opportunity, because if you are successful at one thing, that's all they want you to do. You know, they don't want to risk that second thing, because God forbid it doesn't work. But again, as craftspeople, as I said, you know, the more sharing, going to the Q&As after, you know, you see movies and things. I've had so many times, Michael, where I sat there through a movie going, I don't know what the shit, I can't figure this thing out. And then I thought, I'm going to just hear what the director has to say for himself. And when he explained what his intention was, what he was trying to do, suddenly I found myself really liking the movie, now that I kind of understood what he wanted us to get. Now, we all don't have that opportunity. And as I always say to people, there's no 800 number at the end of the film. If you have any questions, call, you know, to get your shit answered. But, you know, it just, lots of times it's really about how do you connect with that film with a certain audience now. And it's not like even Titanic, where everybody went. You know, my 6-year-old daughter sat there for 3 hours and 20 minutes, and my 65-year-old mother sat there without getting up and going to get a cigarette through the, you know, and I thought that was one of the rare ones that somehow jumped all the ages, and people loved the romance of it. They loved the spectacle of it, you know, and Cameron really everybody was waiting for him to fail, and boy, did he succeed, you know, hugely, you know, and then of course followed by Avatar. And you know, it's like he knows what he wants, and he's successful with it.
Yep. That's amazing. That's amazing, you know. And then again, and then of course, you know, I never knew you studied writing with Rod Serling, or you got the pre-screen Rocky, and Alice Doesn't Live Here anymore either. So God, I'm finding out something new about you every 2 minutes, it seems like.
That's why this guy, you know, Joe Madre did that book, you know, Strange Idea of Entertainment, on me, because I said to him, there's nothing in my life that's, you know, people want to read about. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, you had periods where you did this, this, and this. I can look at your films. And that's what he did. He looked at everything I did and found a way to correlate it with what was going on in my life at that time, and what my earlier passions were, sort of finding their way in. I didn't think about that, you know, at all. And, you know, like there was a convertible red Mustang that are like in 3 of my movies. And it's like, what's that all about? Well, that was the car I went to Monterey Pop, you know, with Chris Mancini to see. So that held a lot of value to me in my subconscious. So, he did an amazing job with this book that I thought, what's in this? But I never wanted to look backwards. It's always like, okay, what's next? And I had no idea I'd done 42, not a clue. I thought maybe I'd done 20, maybe, so, you just want to keep going and not think about it, because as soon as you think, you fail. It's like you overthink, and it's like, oh, if I do this and this, I'll have a success. No formula.
And what was the title of that book?
A Strange Idea of Entertainment.
Okay.
Conversation with Tom McLoughlin. But that's, he took it from my line in Friday the 13th, where the caretaker looks right in the camera and says, some folks have a strange idea of entertainment, which was my joke on all of us who make them and us who go and watch them, But for me, it's been, this jump around that just doesn't seem to stop, where I go from thing to thing. And I don't know if you know the whole thing about my third act, because I had my wife and kids, or my ex-wife and kids, had a party for my 60th birthday at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in the mausoleum where I shot my first movie.
Oh, yeah.
And all these people, 100-something people, showed up and were up there doing like a, saying wonderful things, like it was my AFI tribute. But to me, it was like the eulogy. It's like, well, you've done it. And I went, I'm not ready to go into the third act here. I don't want to retire. I have no intention of it. And I ended up going back the next day and starting to make down payments on a crypt. And my goal is that I'm not going into that crypt until 2050. I want to come in at, at 1950 and go out in 2050. Whether that's God's plan or not, I don't know. So, I mean, a bus might hit me, and that's that. But for me, it's like, I need to know that there's still got time. I still got these 26, 27 years. And I don't know if I'll be rolling onto a set or rolling up to a microphone or, whatever happens is going to happen. But right now, every year on my birthday, we have a crypt warming, and we, gather friends, fans, whatever, and we stand around and we don't talk about the crypt. We don't talk about death. We talk about what we're doing right now or what we have planned. It's about life. That just so happens to be the last thing. And if I can create some sort of energy, which is in essence what ghosts are to me, the residual energy, maybe you can come visit and maybe you'll hear something, or maybe I'll play harmonica in there for hours. Maybe you'll hear that harmonica. I don't know. I'm not going to be here to find out. But the idea of it right now to me is exciting, to feel like the second act goes all the way up to death. And then there's the third, whatever I can pull off at that point.
Well, I think you still have, knowing you and everything that you've done, I'm sure that you probably have plenty still left up your sleeve for us here. So, we'll be here watching. Definitely. So, well, Tom, we appreciate you coming back and spending more time with us and letting us know what you're up to. Always a great conversation with you. And I always learn
more than you need to know.
Yeah. Well, it's, you don't have to say that. I meant the way I wanted to put it was, you say, you learn something new every day. Well, with you, it's not just something. It's like you learn a lot of new things every time we talk to you, is what we're finding out here. And again, we appreciate you coming back and talking to us. I mean, best of luck with the Sloths show. I wish I could be there. Maybe I could find a way out to LA. It's
love to see you in person. That would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. And I've had a lot of guests lately that have been performing at the Whiskey too. So it's I'd love to go out there and see that historic club. I never had the opportunity to perform there, but I'd love to at least visit it. Yeah. And a lot of other places out there too. I've got to, you think I've been in entertainment this long, I'd at least have visited LA at least once, but I never have. So bucket list, there we go. Another item. I'll just mark that.
You got a long time. You're a lot younger than me, son.
Yeah.
So you got a lot more years.
Yeah, well, hopefully we will. So, well, Tom, would you like to plug your and give us the details of your whiskey show one more time before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's January the 14th. It's like the last night of a week of 60s music. John Densmore is going to put together a version of The Doors, since he was a guitar player, and the rest of them, are no longer with us.
Robbie Krieger.
He's playing, Robert, did I say Densmore again? Gosh.
Yeah.
why did I have that in my head? The drummer, no, it's a guitar player, Robbie Krieger, who put together the group, and the Canned Heat and the Strawberry Alarm Clock, and God, so all these bands who had played there or were, definitely part of that scene in those days. So yeah, that's the 14th of January. And yeah, any other stuff you might want to know about the Sloths, it's on the sloths.org. Just has a bunch of the, videos and whatnot, and the same thing on YouTube. The Sloths Band. If you write just the Sloths, you'll get cute, furry, three-toed creatures. And we got 5 toes. So so if you got to put the band there, and there's a ton of stuff there over the years, people that shot with their cell phones, and a few like really professional videos too that were done, like when we had songs and movies and things.
Yep. And it's a great album the Sloths have, and you can get that on, I know myself because I've gotten it there on iTunes, and I guess there's a number of platforms wherever you can buy albums and music that would have it. So, and I'll be sure to put all these in the show notes as well, the links and everything.
And we have our radio station on Pandora, like everybody else, so they'll play our songs as well as a lot of the garage rock, because that's kind of in our category. And I'm a guy with power to the people. Go to Spotify, you can hear every damn song. You don't spend the money. It's it's kind of the way. I'd rather have you hear it and enjoy it, than going, I don't want to pay. We've had that for trying to sell merch at times. It's like, I know how to find you guys. So what do you do? It's killed music, and everybody has to just accept that that we have to find other ways to do things now. And I don't want to tell you how much I spent for those damn Kiss tickets. And somebody told me that they love Tool, and I wanted to go to a concert, and it was like $200. And he goes, I love Tool, but $200, and I said, you don't want to know what the Stones and some of these other acts are charging.
It's Billy Joel too.
Yeah. And they get it. So, that's the whole thing, like with ticket prices and stuff, or going to Disneyland. I mean, you have to mortgage your house, and you see families of 8 kids or something. I go, oh my God, how is he going to pay for this all? But yeah, we're in a world that as long as they keep doing that and people keep paying it, they'll keep upping it until somehow something breaks. I don't know what.
Right. They sure will. So folks, again, this has been Tommy McLoughlin tonight of the Sloths. If you're in LA, January 14th, go check out the Sloths. If not, check out their YouTube page and all the other links I'm going to put in the show notes here, the sloths.org, their YouTube page. You can buy their music on just about any music platform out there, such as iTunes, Spotify. You heard it all here. So thank you again, Tom. Again, it's been a wonderful catching up with you and everything. Always a pleasure.
You too, Michael. Thank you.
And we will see you all next time. This is Michael Spedden signing off from Fowl Players Radio. And folks, thanks again for tuning in tonight. We really hope you enjoyed this episode with Tommy McLoughlin. He is just a million interesting stories. I mean, he's just got so much to tell, so many things he's accomplished, just so many great stories. And I really enjoy talking to him, and, him being willing to come on our show and share with us. His website is thesloths.org. Remember, they have their show at the Whiskey in January coming up, and that's going to be a great show, I'm sure. Also, make sure you check out the Sloths on YouTube if you look up the Sloths Band. And also, look around on the web, iTunes and Spotify and all the other platforms carry Sloths music. And it's a great album. I really think you'll enjoy it if you downloaded it. Remember, if you would like professional entertainment, consider a murder mystery from the Fowl Players of Perryville. Fowl Players Perryville at yahoo.com, and also fowlplayersofperryville.com. You can also reach us at 443-600-0446. Don't forget my show, The Back of the Rack, on 97underground.com every Tuesday. Coming up, starting January 2nd, I will be on for 2 hours. That's 2 hours of The Back of the Rack you get every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. How can you go wrong with that, folks? And again, we feature songs you forgot you liked, current and classic, local rock, hard rock, metal classics that never die, and up-and-coming bands. Remember, every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, listen on your computer or download the app so you can take us everywhere you go, 97underground.com. And we at Fowl Players Radio are proud to support artists, can urge you to consider doing the same. Shopping small, support our artists, buy their music, buy their tickets, buy their albums, buy their movies. Anything, every little bit helps. And their links to all these things can be found in the show notes of every episode. We thank you for tuning in and listening. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. Give us a fair review. That's the best way you can support us. We appreciate you coming back and listening. We appreciate you spending time with us, watching our episodes, and we will see you all next time, folks. This is Michael Spedden signing off.